What I'm doing here is I'm providing you the blend file with these two objects already modeled. It's just going to make things a little easier to do what we want to do. You're welcome, of course, to model them yourselves, but if you'd like, you can just follow along with the pre-built models. I'm also providing a download of the normal map I'm going to use. I'll show you how to make that otherwise, and some text that's going to go on the ring. Okay, so go ahead and grab those three files from the description and come on back. Looking down from the top, I'm going to press Shift A, Mesh Plane, zoom in, go to Edit Mode, right click Subdivide, and I'm going to choose 20. I'm going to press 3 for face selection, and Control F, poke faces, and then Control F again, and tries to quads. Now I see that I don't have my screencast keys on, so I'll put those on. Alright, now that we have that, I'm going to press I twice, inset twice, hold Shift and pull in a little bit till you have these squares. Then press E to extrude and pull up in the Z direction. Alright, now I'm going to add a bevel modifier, and I'm going to go up to 3 and shade smooth. Look down from the top, and with the 3D cursor still there, bring in a camera, Shift A, Mesh, not Mesh, camera, and then look through it, Control Alt 0, so we're staring right down there, and that's fine. We can press G and move. We're going to be doing that in a bit anyhow. Okay, a couple of settings up here in the render properties. Scroll right down to the bottom under color management and make sure that standard is chosen. Go to the camera and switch it from perspective to orthographic, and in the output change to 1024 by 1024. Okay, we are ready to go. With the camera selected here, hold down Shift and scroll to the left and pull to the left, and just get it into your square. Doesn't matter that much, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can press G and move the camera a little bit. That's going to be fine for what we're doing. I'm going to turn off these and come to Matte Cap and choose this one here for normal. All right, viewport render image. That is the normal map that we want, the pattern we want. Now, I've already created one last time, so I'm going to use that, but otherwise you need to save this image, go back in the studio, and then what I like to do is select all of that, the camera and the plane, M, move to new collection and call that normal map, and camera, something like that. Just take that and hide it and keep it out of the way. Alright, so we're going to work on the ring itself. I'm going to select the main body of the ring, come over to the materials, and I've got a base material on right now. I don't need that. I'm going to create a new material, and I'm going to call this gold. I'm going to switch over to material preview or viewport shading, and I'm going to try to simulate a gold color. It's not going to be exact or anything, just something that you think looks gold-ish. Something like that. Slide up the metallic and to 1 and bring the roughness down a little bit. So looks a little bit like cartoon gold. Alright, that's fine anyhow. Okay, now you could do other things obviously to this material, but we're going to keep it simple. We're not going to bother. We're going to add another material in here. And you'll notice that I've got a subdivision on this. Alright, I'm going to shut it off and turn it on, whatever. Let's go into edit mode, and 3 for face selection. I'm going to Shift Alt and click this row of faces and this row of faces. I'm going to just press Control plus once to expand my selection. Back in materials, I'm going to add a new material for this ring, and I'm going to call this black. And we'll be using these materials in the pendant as well. Scroll down, make that a black kind of color. I'm going to bring the metallic all the way up and the roughness down a little bit, and make sure I click assign. So that's in there. We're going to focus just on this piece right now. Alright, so let's go back over to the materials here. Get rid of the base material, and this is going to be normal pattern, and we'll use it in both. So in both models, the ring and the pendant. So we'll just call it normal pattern. Now I'm going to bring back the ring and assume that I'm going to probably view it from this angle here, so I'm going to unwrap it underneath there. So let's just slash key unwrap it somewhere around here. So press 2 for edge selection and select one of those edges, right there. Here, I'll go back to here. You can see a little bit better. Okay, Control E, mark scene, and then A, U, unwrap. Go over to the UV editor, and you can see it's a nice straight line in the UV space. Okay, so over to the shading tab now. We are on the normal pattern material, and here's our principal BSDF. So here we go. I'm going to add that normal pattern to that. So it's texture, image texture, drop that down, and with it selected, Control T, and that'll give us UV coming out there, and that's what we want. Open up the normal pattern that you created or that I provided to you. So let's use that. Switch this to non-color, and then add in a vector normal map node. Connect the color to that, and I'm just going to pull this down so it's a little closer. Connect normal to normal, and you start to see something. We're going to come over here, and we're going to change the size to try 3 in the X, 3 in the Y. One thing we need to make sure is that our polys aren't flipped. The ring is actually flipped. Alt N, recalculate outside. Okay, cool. So there's our pattern. Let's do a little bit more to it now. So select it. I'm going to add a noise texture to this. Control T, but I want to use the object. I'm going to switch these values to 1 and 10 and 0.75, but these are personal choices. Bring in a color ramp, converter color ramp, drop that down, color in. I'm going to press plus twice, and now I'm going to use sort of a brown color here, slide this over, and to get it sort of a dark red, bring this over, and another brown. We'll try, maybe not orange exactly, something like that. Let's just see how that looks. Plug the color into the base color here, and we're starting to see this. I'll slide this along, and you can make adjustments. Now, let's make sure that we crank the metallic all the way up, the roughness down a little bit. Let's get a bump going. So slide those back, Shift A, vector bump. I'm going to take the color into the height here, and I'm going to take, let's move these back. No, don't do that. Let's move these back. Take the normal from here, plug it in there. And now you can sort of see the pattern a little bit better if you want to play with this and get, you know, some texture going on in there. Maybe that. All right, let's switch the strength to 0.2 for now. I'll probably go down to 0.1. Plug the normal in, and we have that. So I will go to 0.1, and we are starting to get our ring. All right, I like to do this on one of these, and that looks better. As you can see, the light really makes a lot of difference, either that one or that one. And I'm going to stick with that one. Okay, all we have left to do now is to put some text on the ring, so let's do that. So we're going to come in here, and I'm going to Shift Alt and click these faces. We're going to use these faces. We're going to add a new material here, and this is going to be, I'll call this ring text because it is specific to the ring. I'm going to press Assign, but I want this to take up a little bit more space because there's a subdivision surface. In fact, watch as I turn it off. See the way it pops up with the subdivision surface? It's down there. So what I'm going to do is in edge selection, Shift Alt and click this edge and this edge, and I'm going to go Shift E and pull, and pull it till it's up to where I want. All right. So I've got that surface there. I've got that material, ring text. Let's go to the shading editor, and we're going to add texture, image texture. Control T, using UV, open an image. So find that image that I gave to you, which says Blender. There it is. All right, so we've got that, and this is going to be a bump. So vector bump, and we're going to plug this into the height, and we're going to plug this into the normal. but we haven't UV unwrapped this yet. So let's come in and again figure out, okay, I'm going to look at it from the front roughly. So I'm going to unwrap around the front so we don't see the seam near the back. So I've selected, here, let me switch back to this. I've selected, in fact, I can shut off that. So you can see I've selected there, Control E, mark seam, go to face selection, Shift Alt and click. It's those faces I want to unwrap. So do that, and you can see that. Okay, so I've selected my text. It is sRGB. If I do go to the UV image editor and I don't see the word Blender in there, just come over here and select it from here because we have loaded it. All right, now our UVs are here and the word is there. We don't see it there. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to lay it out over Blender, but I believe I'm going to have to rotate it -90. So I'm going to go R -90. Start to see something, drag it over, S, scale it up. I can scale in the Y as well, and just position it. And I may have been backwards. Let's try rotate 180 and see if it flips right, and it looks like it does. Now, that's interesting. My UVs are a little funny. So I'm just going to take the top row here and I'm going to SY0, straighten them. It's not really going to affect my text, SY0, but it looks a little nicer. Okay. So there's Blender and it's looking a little bit too big. So I'm going to select those faces again and scale it like that. Scale it in the Y. And just get the size that I want in behind. If you get a little bit of text extra, like for example, let's say I do this, I scale it, okay, if you get it more than, see that stuff there, but there's my main word is right here, okay, but I get a little bit extra, go back to the shading tab and change this from repeat to extend, and it's gone. Okay, so I've got that, and that's basically what I want. So let's go back to the shading tab now and make some changes here. Let's make sure metallic is all the way up, roughness is down a little bit, and we are going to add a color ramp. So invert our color ramp. We're going to connect the image to that and the color here. And now we got a black color here. Let's go over to the materials and choose that gold. That's the main gold of the ring. And let's make sure that the subdivision is on. There we go. And I'm going to sample this color. Let's come into the hex values. Control C to copy it, and then come back over here and make sure you're on the right part, the text. And here in this color ramp, I'm going to pull these together just a little bit. For the black, go to the hex and Control V and paste it in. And for the white, I like to use black text. Looking good. Let's click invert and have a look at our ring. So we've used a normal map and some text on our ring. Let's move over to the pendant now. There's a couple of different things I want to show you, but first of all, let's select the main body and just choose gold. And all of these pieces are going to be gold. Like that. There's a little area in here I'd like to put a black stripe. Select all of that and Control plus once. No, we won't. We'll just select that. Select that. And, select this inner area here. Let's try Control plus. And let's add another material and choose black and a sign. And I think that's too much. So I'm going to, let's just undo that and just put it in the middle. We're also going to put it in here. Select here, Control plus a couple of times, choose black and assign. All right, now we don't have the normal pattern on there yet, and we're going to build it but slightly differently. The way I want to do this is select that part there and bring the 3D cursor there. Look right from the front and add a plane. Rotate X 90. I'm going to push it out a little bit and then scale it up a little bit. And I'm going to use Simple Deform to make this into a circle. To do that, I need more geometry on here, so I'm going to Control R, three edge loops on there, right in the middle. Okay. Now I'm going to add an array modifier in the X, click on Merge, and I'm going to go for 12, like that. Now add a Simple Deform, choose Bend, Z, and 360. Shade Smooth. Let's go back to here. Now it does go around, but it's not in the right orientation, so come back in here and rotate X 90. And now it's flat. We'll have to rotate it again in a moment. Back into object mode, let's apply the array, apply the deform, go in, select it all, M, merge by distance, and we'll get rid of a couple. Now we can rotate it, rotate X 90, pull it forward, and scale it down until it fits. Let's pull it back a bit. Let's scale again. So it's going to go under this outer piece here. And I'm going to have to grab this edge and scale it in. So it's like that, somewhere like that. Now there's a reason I did it this way. And that is that the normal pattern is going to be bent around really nicely. I think it's really nicely anyhow. Okay, before we apply it though, we have to UV unwrap this. So come in, I'm just going to choose this edge here, Control E, mark seam, and with it all selected, U unwrap. Let's go to the UV editing. What I want to do here though is I don't want a circle. I want it in a straight line. So I'm going to select these points. You can choose pretty much any one, but I'm going to choose this one here, SY0 to straighten them. These two, SY0 to straighten them. These two, SX0, and these two, SX0. And then I'm going to select this, Control plus. This is the active one. Now you follow active quads. And I get a nice straight line. Bring that in. Don't worry about the blender word right now. In fact, we can get rid of that if we want to. Just close that out. And we have this. Let's go over the shading tab. And we are going to use the normal pattern that we had from before. And there it is on there. Now what we might want to do is we might want to scale this differently, so I'm going to actually make just another copy of this. That's fine. And I might want to scale it a bit differently, but before I do that, I want to look and see if everybody is flipped. Do you see this piece is flipped? Alt N and flip. And that should look better now. I might change the scale of this one to 2. Let's try 2 and see how that looks. Let's go over to the UV editor, and you can scale this a little bit if you want. You can move it around if you don't like the position of certain seams, if you see something that's obvious to you. But that's the two of them right there. So let me grab this and pull it over so we can admire both of these. And again, my gold color may not be exactly what you like, but try out different lighting effects, see what looks best to you. I do like that one. I think my favorite one is that though, right there. One more thing to note in the setup. Ambient occlusion is on, bloom is on, screen space reflections is on. If you like, you could just do a screenshot right from the viewport and it'll look cartoony, but also very nice. All right, so 2 normal patterns on our jewelry. Thanks for watching.